إِلَّا الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا مِنْهُمْ, except those who do injustice, are really oppressing Islam. Then you have to debate them in the strongest ways, because they're putting you in the corner, you have to defend. But we shouldn't come to the Al-Kitab and the ideas that we have to make him look bad on the stage, or we hope that he's going to make a mistake, and it's all about getting votes and getting cheers. And this is what we find nowadays. In fact, the scholars forbid these sort of things, Abu Khalid.
It's a bit like football support.
This is exactly it, and he is my man, I'm going to cheer him on. And then when the other guy makes a mistake, this is fantastic. And this is criticism of the scholars of the past, and we know there's a lot of comparative religion and so on, and they make their mistakes and they do good things as well. But we have to learn that this sort of scenario, or this debating, scholars have spoken about as huge conditions, it shouldn't be in this type of manner. And the fact that when we use this, it actually causes more enmity and more hatred from both sides. And as well as that you find that, like we said, that seldom you find the person he will not enter his heart these things. And subhanAllah, we have to realize is that we're looking to please Allah Azza wa Jal, and we don't want to cause more hatred to the people in the audience, for example, towards Islam.
You don't want to push them away further.
And you'll tend to make up things because you're in that competitive edge. And in fact, subhanAllah, I tell you, Abu Khalid, the scholars in the past, such as Imam Shafi and all those great scholars in the past, they used to dislike debating. And
because there was a tradition of debating not only with the Ahl Kitab, but between the madhabs.
Yeah, exactly. And even, for example, if any of these great scholars would debate, this is a characteristic amongst them all, they would hope that the person who was debating, that he wouldn't make a mistake. He didn't want to pull him on anything. He didn't want him to make a mistake. Whereas we're in the opposite. We want him to make a mistake and we want to take advantage of it. See the difference in the mentality. He didn't want this to happen. And we find it even Imam Shafi'i used to say that, every time he debated a layman, he used to lose. And when he debated somebody who was knowledgeable in the deen, he would never lose a debate. Again, when you debate the layman, he comes with all these different things, and he doesn't know any of the usul or the basics in the religion. So when you come with him with some knowledge and evidence, he doesn't understand it, and it just leads to arguments and silly talk. So we have to be careful not to get ourselves involved in these type of debates. And debate, there's a place and time for it, and we should try to meet the conditions, and this is very, very important. As well, sorry Abu Khalid, just before it slips in my mind, is that when we're seeking knowledge, there's etiquettes of the teacher and the student. And some things, subhanAllah, how the students used to be towards their scholarly teachers, their sheikhs, they used to go there and learn. And this is bringing us on nicely, inshallah, towards, we're going to talk about Imam al-Nawawi. And this is a name which is familiar to us, but familiar as a name, but unfamiliar in terms of his biography and the things that he wasn't famous for.
I don't know anything about him when he lived.
Yeah. So, inshallah, just to kind of bring it, or to set it up, we find that the scholars in the past, that when they were studying from these shuyukh or studying from their scholars, they would be very, very humble towards them. Their character, they would try to show exemplary manners towards them, give them that respect that they deserve. They're teaching them knowledge, Abu Khalid. And like we said, sometimes they say that knowledge is more important than food and drink. Food and drink, once you fill your stomach and you're fine for the rest of the day. But knowledge, you need it on a constant basis. You need to know sometimes something's haram, halal, and every day you're constantly self-checking yourself. So the issue then was, as I said, about manners and about how they used to be. Things like etiquettes, although they're not maybe mentioned directly in the Quran and the Sunnah, but they're just like unsaid etiquettes, such as, for example, not to wink at your teacher, not to raise your hand or wave at him. When you ask him a question, don't try to finish his answer. Things like, for example, don't come with statements like, oh, I heard such and such a person said this and this, and he came with this opinion, what's your opinion on this? And bringing scholars in the sense of a combat between one another, or sort of so often we hear, oh, but such and such a sheikh said this, and he said, what do you think about this? And this is really bad manners, really, And even they say that, look, even if you see a mistake in your teacher, don't correct him on it, because really what he's given to you is more than what this mistake is, what your sheikh is making. So these are the beautiful characteristics. And maybe mentioned the story before of the young student and his sheikh, and he was staying in his house, and they'd no cold water, and or they had no warm water for wudu. So what did the boy, in order to please his sheikh and to look after him, he would keep the bowl of water close to his body, hoping that the heat from his body would heat the water. And he would come the next day and say, Sheikh, this is the water to make wudu. And he would say, how do you get this water? He says, this is for you, Sheikh. This is, just make wudu with it. And he wouldn't tell him how he did it. Again, this is the commitments that they made. And the teacher also has a great role. The teacher, in the sense that, for example, that he should try to, when he's correcting the student, to do it in a kind of a hintful way, not to put him down, because
not
he might ridicule him, because he might feel it might tarnish his confidence or bash his confidence.
Definitely.
So even the scholars in that, they're very careful about that. And even sometimes if they would ask a question, the student wouldn't reply, and even if it was wrong, he would say, oh, maybe this could be correct. You know, he would give that sort of response. And subhanAllah, even we see it nowadays, and it still exists, alhamdulillah, the scholars, the way they deal with the students is very, very nice. Again, issues of, for example, teaching them manners, and how, you know, when you study with the sheikh, or you learn his character, and read the signs of the great scholars, and the scholars really have knowledge. You see that their statements don't contradict their actions. So the etiquettes of the teacher is to encourage the student not to focus on any of his weaknesses. Rather, he will learn them eventually with time. And if you're going to give advice, to do it in a kind of a subtle, hintful kind of way. And these are the really essential qualities of the teacher and the scholar. And the student, in the long run, really appreciates that, and really looks up to something like that. And we said that, for example, that Imam Shafi'i, he once said that, you know, that giving the ignorant person, or giving someone who doesn't really like knowledge, give him knowledge, is actually disrespecting knowledge, and to withhold it from people who really want it is an injustice. So we find that those people who don't really want knowledge, but they're just sitting there, or they're not respecting it.
Somebody's got to dig ditches.
This is unfortunate, you know. So again, this is the issue about people who are deserving of knowledge. They should be given first preference to that. So when we look at the companions, the biographies of the companions, and the biographies of these great scholars, we can't help but be amazed by their tremendous efforts in which they exerted, if you like, in terms of knowledge and gaining knowledge. Efforts. And they're famous for what, Abu Khalid? This is a very important point, and maybe for some of the young viewers they might be able to understand this point, is that they're not famous for kicking a ball around on the pitch, or singing, or dancing around. Right? They're famous till this day for over 1,000 years, hundreds of years, because of what? Because of their piety, because of their love for knowledge, because of their contribution to the ummah in terms of their books and their knowledge. These are why they are famous, and these are why they have that status which we talked about at the very start.
And look at the prophets, you know, who are more famous than them.
Exactly. However, we find ourselves more, if you like, we know more about the biographies, even of contemporary scholars, or we do know about the companions themselves. We're able to talk about scholars such and such, such and such, but we don't even know about, for example, the 10 Mubashirin bil Jannah, those who were given the glad times. If you ask many people, they don't know the stories about them. So we have to concentrate on these points. These are the main issues. These are the role models, actually, for our children, the models for us as adults as well. So we have to go back to those. They're not fairy tales. They're not stories we just tell to our children to keep them amused. These are actually real people who lived in real times, and they're the, if you like, the forefathers of our religion. They're the ones who carried this deen, and we need to go back to those and learn. And really, this will soften the heart, like we talked about before. And, you know, having, you know, looked at the different great scholars in the past, one scholar which really comes to mind, and a lot of people have heard of him, and certainly know his books in some way or other, but maybe haven't attached the name to the book, is Imam al-Nawawi. And Imam al-Nawawi, may Allah have mercy on him, his long name was, or his full name was Imam al-Nawawi Abu Zakaria Yahya ibn Sharaf al-Nawawi. And al-Nawawi comes from, a lot of the scholars there, their last name is signifies the place which they were brought up, or the place where they came from. For example, you have al-Baghdadi, you know, he came from Baghdad, and so on. So, or Uthman Bari al-Burtani, or Irlandi, coming from England or Ireland. So you find that this place now is not too far from Damascus, and Damascus, as we know, was the melting pot. It was the place where knowledge was you know, it was the melting. It was a place where everybody from all stretches of the world used to go to Damascus to learn the sciences.
Not only religious knowledge,
all sorts of
medicine
knowledge, exactly. Knowledge of not only the dunya but of the religion as well. So in this small village, he decided to, during his young age, or during his youth, he showed the signs of scholarly. He had scholarly attributes, if you like, and even when a young age, he'd be concentrating on memorising the Quran. And when his friends and things and the children in the area would try to distract him and all that, he wouldn't play to it whatsoever, and he would be diligent in his study and memorising the Quran. So he showed those great signs. At the age of around 19 or so, he decided to depart to Damascus to seek knowledge. And during his time there, Abu Khalid, they say that he used to, for example, attend over 11 lectures a day. And in those lectures, he would make commentaries and summaries of what he learned and revise those lessons at night time.